Hello, and welcome to the Marketing Dilemmas podcast brought to you by Cognism. I'm Liam, and each week we discuss real world dilemmas faced by top marketers so we can all share in their challenges and learn from each other. Today, my guest is Maura, CMO at Qualified. Welcome to the podcast. So, to kick it off, we would love to get to know you a little bit more. And to do that, as we ask all of our guests to share two truths and a lie about themselves. And I will try my very best to work out the lie. I started off doing this pretty well and progressively got worse. So I'm excited to be challenged.
Okay, sweet. Well, thank you for having me, Liam. I'm excited to be here. Two truths and a lie. I was trying to think of some creative marketing ones, and they were all really boring. And my personal ones are kind of boring too, so I think I'm going to go with the personal angle. Okay, I have 27 first cousins. I have 3 kids under 3. And one time I wore my shoes on the wrong feet to work, and I didn't realize until 3 p.m.
I don't know why that one really gets me. If you 27 first cousins is so many. So I know in our little preamble that you definitely have kids. So that
Yeah.
gives me a little bit of an insight that could be true. But the number, that's that to be fair is up for debate. 27 first cousins, so many. But it's not beyond the realms of possibility. Say you have, I suppose, parents who have lots of siblings, and then they have lots of kids. It is possible.
It is.
I just don't know if anyone could wear their like shoes on the wrong feet for that long because it's painful. Like if you said it was that you went with like a top inside out, which is probably something I've done in my life, really embarrassingly.
Yeah.
I feel like I could believe it because it's sometimes not always easy to tell, but feet. All right, I'm gonna have to make a decision, otherwise I'm just gonna kill time on this.
I
We'll
like
decide it.
watching your wheels turn, though. I like watching.
I'm gonna say the kids is true. I'm gonna say that I'm gonna go with Rogue One. I'm gonna say the shoes is true and the cousins are a lie.
Oh, close. Okay, so the shoes are true, which is embarrassing. They were a flexible ballet flat, so it was hard to tell the difference between the two shoes in my defense. But I do often like wake up late and get dressed in a rush, so that was the result of that one. I was about like I was early in my career. Um, the cousins is true. I come from a huge family. My mom's one of 8 kids. My dad's one of 4, and they all had a million kids. I have 3 kids under 7, not 3 kids under 3.
Uh,
So close, but
Close, very
close.
close.
I think if they were
To be
3 under 3, I would go a little bit crazy. So, but it's still
That's
quite
what I
chaotic.
was. Yeah, that's exactly what I was going to say. I really didn't think about that. 3 kids under 3 is
Yeah,
going to be
it's
like,
possible. It could happen. I have a few coworkers who have twins, and I'm like, how do you do it?
yeah.
But so yes, I have 3 under 7, so it's still chaotic, but not quite as chaotic.
You played that very well. I must admit, though, 27 first cousins. Does like how close are you? Like, does everyone get an invite to big family events like weddings and stuff? Like, you
Yeah,
just
it's
pack out the room with family before you've even invited anyone else.
Yeah, we're all really close, and my husband comes from a small family, and when we were doing our wedding guest list, he was like, "Oh, you weren't joking that like 100 plus people will be family." And I remember the day after our wedding, I was like, "Want to come over for pizza? Just bring your parents. Well, just my family. We'll just do like pizza, just kind of regroup on the day." And he showed up, and there were like 100 people there, and he's like, "I thought it was just family," and I'm like, "Well, it is. It's my family." So he's been like all of the folks who marry into our family at first are like, "You guys are crazy," and then they kind of just lean into the chaos. But there's a lot of us.
Yeah,
Like every corner you turn, you'll see someone. So it's pretty fun.
that's fun though. That makes all family functions really fun. There's got to
It
be
does.
like lots of good stuff going on with lots of different personalities.
Oh yeah, oh yeah. You just got to sit back and watch. Have a glass
Yeah,
of wine.
I actually don't know how you have any time to make any other friends though. It's like you can just. populate it all with family.
It is fun when I travel for work because I usually have cousins in like different cities, and I even have cousins who like work in tech, and so there's a lot of overlap, which is fun.
That's amazing. I have another question though on it. How many
Mhm.
first cousins now do your kids have?
Oh, so with me, and I'm one of four kids, so also a big family, and there are, oh my gosh, why there are 9 going to be 10. No, no, no. There are
Okay.
8 going to be 9. So there are 8 right now, grandchildren, and, my little sister is about to have a baby in September. So going on 9 and maybe still more to come, so we'll see.
And I bet they'll probably grow up, if the family's still close, aware of all their second cousins as well. So
Totally,
they're
yeah,
good.
and they all go to school together, and we all live right by each other, so it's really fun.
That's a lot of fun. I love that. That's great. Well, thank you for thinking about those because I enjoyed those. I
Of
don't think they
course,
were.
I'm glad I've now shared my shoe story with your listeners, but
Yeah.
here we are.
There you go. That's for everyone to know. It doesn't matter how successful you are, you can still put on shoes the wrong way round.
Exactly, exactly.
So before I dive into the questions, I'd love to give you the chance to just explain a little bit about who Qualified are and what you do as well.
Yeah, so Qualified, we're an agentic marketing platform, and our product is an AI SDR agent. So we're really focused on helping you automate your entire inbound funnel. Cognism is a great customer of ours. The whole concept is if you're doing all these things as marketers to drive buyers to your website and to capture leads, and then you're reliant on human capacity to work those buyers and get them into your pipeline, you're leaving pipeline on the table. And so we have this AI SDR agent. Her name's Piper, and she's focused on generating pipeline 24/7 for marketers. And we use her a ton to generate pipeline at our own company. We launched her a year ago, which is a little bit what we'll be talking about. We've had hundreds of companies hire her onto their teams. And it's been fun because it's like really disruptive technology. And as a marketer, it's really fun to be able to sell to other marketers and talk about use cases and just kind of explore the art of the possible.
Love it. Yeah, if you want to check it out, you can see it live on our website or Qualifieds themselves, and then you can always book a demo as well if you want.
Of course, yeah. Click that button.
Yeah. Um, so we like to start as well with running through the last dilemma I had on the
Mhm.
previous episode and getting your take on it. So on the last episode that I recorded, which was actually just this morning, as I was saying,
Okay.
the dilemma was how do you find the balance between uh, obviously your job and the marketing that you do externally to customers and prospects, and then all importantly the internal marketing to
Mm.
actually let everyone know in the business what you're doing, so
Mhm.
they keep up with where you're going, and you're not and not leaving it up to their imagination as they decide what the marketing department's doing,
Mhm.
and sort of like creating that sort of disconnect. So it's a bit of like that
Mhm.
alignment piece, but or as I like to call it, like internal PR.
Mhm.
But yeah, what do you think of that dilemma? How is that something that you guys manage at Qualified?
Yeah, I mean, I think that's a dilemma that every marketer faces. And I think when I went into marketing and started leading a marketing team, I underestimated how important internal communications are. I almost think you need to nail your internal communications before you can nail your external communications. It's a good forcing function for you to make sure you put pen to paper for what's this narrative about? What's this next launch about? How can we make sure that everybody at the company is singing from the same song sheet? And Qualified, it's been interesting because I've been there since the beginning, but now we're about 250 people and we're fully remote. And internal communications, especially in this age of remote work, I think is paramount because you don't overhear conversations happening with the engineering team next to you or the sales team next to you. You don't have that organic mind share. So, as we've scaled and scaled quickly, it's been really paramount. We actually do something every 2 Fridays. We call it a TGIF. The whole company gets together. I help organize it as part of marketing. So we actually have one an hour from now because it's Friday morning. And every 2 Fridays, the whole company gets together. We walk through, we follow Salesforce's framework of the V2 Mom. Have you heard of the V2 Mom?
No, I haven't actually. Love to hear it.
Yeah, so I worked at Salesforce for a while early in my career, and basically it's vision, values, methods, obstacles, metrics, and you write a company V2 mom, so our CEO writes one, and then all of the executive team underneath him writes our V2 moms, and then the teams underneath us write one as well, and they all ladder up to that executive level V2 mom. So in every quarter we refresh it and we redo it, and so we put pen to paper with like what's our strategy for this quarter and how does it all ladder up. I think especially at a smaller company, it helps you stay focused so you're not working on stuff that frankly doesn't matter. So when we do these TJFs every 2 weeks, we walk through the V2 mom, we talk about status updates. We also try and make it really fun. We have skits, we have costumes, we have like funny videos to keep people engaged so they don't dread coming to it. And it's become a really core part of our culture. And when we do like employee feedback, it's always one thing at the top because they feel like they can keep up with the pace of innovation at the company. So that every 2 weeks thing, we started it when we were, I think, about 12 people, and we're still doing it at 250 people. And it's what kind of just keeps us all aligned going forward. That's been paramount. And it sounds lame because I know it's meeting mania, especially in a remote culture, but like Slack can get so noisy, email can get so
Mhm.
noisy. So I think there's so much value in when things get confusing, like let's hop on a quick call and talk through it and maintaining that culture as you scale so that like things don't fall through the cracks or get lost in translation. But that's been really like really, really successful. I'd be curious how our company would function if we didn't have that as part of our foundational kind of mind share as a company.
I love that. I love that idea. And I love that actually, really, what you're doing with that meeting when you're including like skits and the videos and stuff, it's just marketing again, but internally. And I think this is what I was saying on the previous episode is that it's kind of funny because as marketers, we just need to market ourselves and
Totally.
actually create and like having them, it's one thing creating the meeting, but like we should be thinking about if we were throwing that as a webinar
Hmm.
for customers, we'd want to keep them engaged and we'd want to give them something engaging
Hmm.
by so having a meeting where you're actually thinking about what ways are we going to make this engaging for the employees and the company turning up, like how are we going
Hmm.
to keep them involved and make it something that they actually want to turn up to.
Hmm.
um like you have to do all of that sort of stuff, so I like that you've like put your marketing hats on and like how you
Totally.
communicate that.
Yeah, and I think as marketers, like our customers are our sellers. It's our customer facing teams. It's also like making sure the product team is aligned and like and you build that strong relationship. So it is very much like a service that you're doing. And I also just believe in like you have to say the same thing again and again and again. I forget what the stat like someone needs to hear something like 7 times in order to retain it. So
Mhm.
sometimes we'll go into these all hands and we're like, well, we've already talked about that. And it's like you can't assume people are listening, people are paying attention. Like you have to kind of just keep that drumbeat, and a little repetition is a good thing. So
Mhm.
yeah, it's been core to kind of how we get that internal alignment. That being said, I haven't fully cracked the code. Like sales and marketing alignment is hard. How do you make sure they know everything that's going on? So what
Mhm.
what did the guests say? What was their kind of key nugget? Because I think that's something all marketers struggle with.
Yeah, I mean, he was talking about it's very much in the same vein. Uh, he was from Wire actually, which is like almost like a Slack or a Teams
Uh
for
huh.
but for like with extra security. So for companies in like high secure industries,
Oh, cool.
they might use Wire. So yeah, he was talking about the same thing about having these regular meetings as well, and making sure that he's like builds those individual relationships and each person in the marketing team also builds those relationships, so there's like ownership across the board, but also
Hmm.
making use of like chat and things like that as well, which I think relates back to Wire. But I mean,
Hmm.
I positioned the exact same thing. I think that sometimes these things can get so noisy, but now I consider some of the comms that we do internally like almost like a launch. um,
Totally.
like so it's like I launch in the same way that I would launch externally, which means like taking over all available channels to us,
Hmm.
uh, to get that information to them, because of just the amount of times that I've asked someone in the team and I'm like, can we told sales, and it's like, oh, I dropped it in the revenue channel, and I was like,
Yeah.
okay, so that means they
It's
don't
not enough.
Yeah.
Yeah, you have to go on, like, a little road show. When we do launches, we have, like, we use Asana, and we have our whole board, and we always have a whole section for enablement, and it's like, you have to get your face in the place and go to team meetings and, like, be like, "Are you listening to me? Are you paying attention?" And so, I think just dropping a Slack or an email is not, it doesn't cut it
Mhm.
anymore.
Yeah, I mean, our last product launch was probably our most successful for like getting the sales team engaged and like posting and things like that.
Mhm,
Yeah, and it just took a big internal event.
mhm.
We again showed them some funny videos. There was free coffee, there was cake, there
Great.
was prosecco, and then before I knew it, they're all posting, and I'm like, wow, that's all it took.
Good, so you brought them together in person and then had them do it
Yeah,
all while they were there or
yeah,
afterwards? Okay, that's
yeah,
smart.
all in person, and yeah, got different people to hype them up, get the most hyped people talking was the
Yes.
idea. Yeah.
Yes. Okay, okay. My wheels are turning. That's great.
So now jumping on to you, and I'd love to get your dilemma that you're bringing to the show today. And can you give us exactly what it is and the lay of the land, and yeah, how the problem is, like, yeah, what it's caused you so far, and like a little bit more information about it.
Yeah, the dilemma I want to talk about is really repositioning a product in the age of AI. Obviously, every company has been wildly impacted by the emergence of AI. ChatGPT hit the scene in the end of 2022. And we had this interesting dilemma as a company, which we call, like, often referred to as the innovator's dilemma, which is we had this thriving flagship product that was very focused on human to human connection, having your SDRs essentially have live conversations on the website to speed up kind of the pipe gen process. And then we saw AI coming and had this opportunity and this idea to launch an AI SDR agent. And with that, we had this opportunity for us to rethink how we built our product, how we positioned externally, how we priced, and how we packaged. But if we wanted to do this and do it well, we knew we needed to go all in on it. And that would mean kind of leaving behind the flagship product that was very focused on human to human chat and kind of really selling this vision of an AI SDR agent that we talked about at the beginning. And that was an interesting dilemma because it was kind of scary. We finally had our feet underneath us. We had this great product and market. We were doing well against the competition. And then we saw this opportunity to create essentially an AI SDR agent who could do everything autonomously and take off the work of humans. And that was scary to some people at the time.
Hmm.
And that was scary to us and to our employees if we were really going to go all in on this direction. So we launched our AI SDR agent April 16th, 2024. So a little over a year ago. And in order to do it successfully, we had to go all in on all of those things, and understand that some of our customers might not be ready for it, but we knew we needed to paint the vision and lead them there. But this basically repositioning of our company was a big bet we were taking. And it's been really, really awesome to see. I mentioned hundreds of companies have hired our AI SDR agent and they've understood this is an efficiency play, this is a scale play. And we've really pushed the use cases to the limits. It's been fun to see. But it was scary as a company to kind of leave behind what we originally were building. And the dilemma, it kind of touched every facet of the company. So that's kind of what I wanted to talk through today is how we made that pivot. And it's a year later, so hindsight's 2020. Like now we're like, that was so awesome. We're still learning and evolving and iterating and tweaking some things, but I think when you're making a pivot as a company, you can't have one foot in, one foot out. You have to go all in, but that's
Hmm.
scary sometimes. So that's kind of what I wanted to talk through.
Amazing. So what kind of like, yeah, what was the build up to that decision? I suppose what I'm interested in is like, if everything was going well, I suppose on the, like, with the previous product,
Mhm.
what were the precursors that really made people feel like this was a leap that might need to be taken? Because I can
Mhm.
imagine that's where all the reservations come from when everything's going good. Uh, why would we change it?
Mhm.
But there must have been like a real burning itch and like, or like foresight or worry,
Mhm.
that led people to like start really considering pivoting?
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it came from our founders. Our founders are very innovative. They believe if you're not innovating, you're dead. If you're not adjusting and pivoting, you're going to fall behind. You're going to get left behind. And so, from a product perspective, they're very bullish on how do we embrace the newest technology? How do we push the limits? So, even when ChatGPT emerged, we knew early on we need to understand what this means for our product. What are the use cases? And we started like most companies did, where we basically developed a co-pilot that could ride along sales reps. So within the application, if they were having live conversations with a buyer, they could, the co-pilot could tee up good answers for them and help fine tune their responses and just kind of make them more efficient in the conversation. And that was good and that was needed. And that was kind of the safe place to start. But we started to kind of get our eyes opened of like, there is so much potential with this new AI technology. We could have an agent that could go fully autonomous and do all of the work of the humans to begin with. And so we kind of went into the labs that qualified and we started developing something behind the scenes. We didn't talk to our customers about it yet. We called it Project Night Owl at the time because we were like, we need an agent who could at least work nights while reps are sleeping. And so we started building it and kind of banging on the product and trying to figure out, could we get this agent to operate as well as a human SDR would? Could we get them to be on message? Can we get them to answer questions and most importantly work towards conversion, like book a meeting with the right person? So we were in kind of the qualified labs, which is kind of fun because we were getting bigger, but it kind of brought up more of that startup mode of like, what's the art of the possible with this product? And then we got to the point where we were comfortable using it on our own site, which honestly, Liam, was kind of scary for me because I'm like, I'm a marketer. Yes, I want to test out our product, but I can't see my pipeline numbers dip. I don't want to. I don't want to
Hmm.
risk our brand being damaged. Like, I was kind of nervous to use our agent product on our site at the beginning, but we were like, we just got to do it. We got to lead the way. We got to learn by doing, and we turned it on. And we started by using Piper, our AI SDR agent, at nights, on weekends. We used her on the front lines for human SDRs. And I was really impressed, honestly. Like, I think as marketers, we've all had that moment where you see an SDR fumble, like where somebody asks a hard question, they don't know the answer, or somebody comes inbound and wants to talk and nobody's there. And you're like, no, I've worked so
Hmm.
hard for this. And so pretty quickly, I was like, oh, wait, there's something here. So the first chapter for us was like building a product that worked, exploring the art of the possible and using it. We couldn't sell this to
Hmm.
customers unless we can speak to its performance. And so that was really kind of the first chapter of it all.
Hmm. So you were actually in this instance, you were kind of like qualified yourself with like the beta customer because you didn't take it to customers. You kind of like tested it on your own site and like did all of that, yeah,
Yep.
through yourselves.
Yeah. We call ourselves org 1 because we're the first org within the qualified application, or qualified on qualified. And we like, there is an expectation. We have to have the best implementation of org 1. We need to push the limits. We have to have the best grasp on use cases. And so we can talk to our customers about how they should be thinking about it. So that's really where we started. And then we brought some friendlies into the fold to be like, what do you think about having an agent autonomously try and generate pipeline on your website? And so basically, we got comfortable enough with the product capabilities. We had confidence that this product could operate as good, if not better, than a human SDR. And then we put a lot of calories into a big splashy launch. And the launch that we did was the highest website traffic day we'd ever seen in the history of the company. We did this big event for it because I think we were kind of first, not first to market, but we were at the front of the market with an agent and with talking about an autonomous worker. And at the time in early 2024, it was kind of scary to some people, but was like really
Hmm.
different to some people. And we personified our agent, Piper. She generates pipeline. We actually designed Piper after our best performing SDR. Her name's Blake. And because we were always like, when we were building Piper, we were like, well, she needs to be like Blake. She needs to be on message. She needs to be friendly. She needs to be like, know who to book a meeting with. She needs to reference all the CRM information and know how to like know all of the ins and outs of how this account has come to be. And so we kept being like, she needs to be like Blake. And so if you see a picture of Piper, it's like the AI version of Blake. And then we named her Piper because she's not just there to engage and have fluffy talk. She's there to generate pipeline. So that creation of the launch was actually one of my most fun experiences ever as a marketer, because we were like creating this new narrative and like, should we personify her, should we not, what should we call her, what does she look like, and it ended up being like really a home run. And but
Mhm.
it was scary to us, and I think my CEO and I sometimes say, if it's not scary, maybe it's not right. Like if it
Mhm.
feels too easy or too comfortable, maybe that's the easy path, but like kind of the easy way out. So it was a really fun project.
Blake is now famous. I love that. She she
She's
has
famous.
no concerns about her value at the company.
Yeah, no, she's
She's
famous.
been immortalized.
She is. And we asked her at the beginning, we're like, what do you think about this? Is this weird? Would you be down? And she was great. She was like, I'm really flattered that you guys want to, fashion this next product off of my performance. And Blake's now this like big account executive leader. She's like a director or senior director of a bunch of our big AE team. So her career has just like taken off here at Qualified, but she's forever commemorated as the original SDR who is the best of all time.
Love
And
that.
we
So
have big
what?
billboards everywhere, and Blake's face is on it, and so she is famous. And maybe next time we'll do them in London, so you can see some billboards of her also.
That's amazing. So what were some of the, I suppose, challenges with pivoting? Like, I imagine so much. So everything has to change, right?
Everything.
Where do you start? So you've got to start from like top to bottom. I imagine like looking right at the top from like brand, how you position yourself,
Hmm.
all the way through then down to all of the assets you create,
Hmm.
uh, how you talk on the website.
Hmm.
Where on earth did you start? Was it difficult bringing people along the way?
Hmm.
Yeah, I'd love it to get to that bit.
Yeah, I mean it touched every single facet of marketing. When we did launch on April 16th, there were a few places that we wanted to make sure we did this. Obviously our website. We wanted to make sure that Piper the AI SDR agent was front and center, and this fact that you could hire her and she could engage with your buyers across all these channels. So it was website, it was pricing and packaging. How do we sell this thing and like fold it into our current plans? And how do we think about our existing customers and upgrading them onto it? It was enablement, getting our reps. And that was probably the hardest part. Like they were so comfortable with where we had been. And how do we get them to talk about AI with confidence and build trust in the prospect and make it sound like they really know the space? And we, kind of to our point earlier, we had a few AEs who really got it. They were like, this is awesome. I
Mhm.
could position her as a member of your team. I could like talk about the cost savings for headcount. I can talk about efficiency and pipeline. And those AEs who like glommed onto it, they crushed their number that quarter. And other AEs were like, okay, wait, I got to sell what he or she is selling. Um,
Mhm.
and so it was, and then I mean, it was honestly even just little things, Liam. Like, I'm like, oh, what does our booth say at our next event? What's our collateral at that event? Like,
Mhm.
we basically had to do an audit of everything in market and decide how we wanted to pivot. I will say on April 16th, we went light on a lot of those assets. We positioned
Mhm.
Piper on our homepage. We positioned her for pricing and packaging as an add on. In the first call pitch deck, we had a few slides on her. And like we kind of did that one foot in thing. And
Mhm.
we realized right away people want to hire Piper. We got to go all in. So I would say April, we launched and we were a little scared. By
Mhm.
June, everything was overhauled. We redid our pricing and packaging. So if you bought qualified, you hired Piper. She was part of our, she wasn't an add-on, she was a core part of our packages. We redid our homepage. We like all of our advertising drove to our Piper page that talked about her. So I would say April we went partway, we saw the reception, and then we went big. In June, we also put billboards on the 101. We had never invested in billboards, like big brand advertising like that. And our CEO really pushed us. He's like, you guys, something's happening. People want to hire this agent. go big. So we did billboards, people were posting on social about it. It was really fun because I got to do stuff also that was like bigger and bolder than we had done before. So that reception and market guided us to like keep going bigger.
Amazing. I love that of like basically testing the water at every stage. So it's like,
Mm-hmm.
getting testing it yourself, testing customers, getting their feedback, then sort of
Mm-hmm.
like dipping your toe in the water before you take the big splash. So it doesn't
Mm-hmm.
feel like you're taking such a big gamble and swing
Mm-hmm.
when like because you're getting that bit of feedback as you go. Was there anything though that didn't go so well that now you kind of look at and you so I imagine when you're talking about the pivot at
Mm-hmm.
the time there were some probably loud voices in the room maybe with concerns about it. I mean, you were saying
Mm-hmm.
concerns about having it on the website, for example.
Mm-hmm.
Did any of in those loud voices, was there anything that didn't go well? Then did any of those fears get sort of like actually come true in some ways, even if the ultimate thing was a success?
Yeah, I mean, I think we were nervous at the beginning. Excuse me, just about selling. Sorry, one second. Sorry, I'll start that. Hold on, I'm gonna
That's
have a
okay.
coffee because you can edit this, right?
Yes, yeah, of course.
Excuse me, Liam. Okay, so I would say the biggest thing that we were kind of nervous about at the beginning is some people aren't ready for AI. Some people aren't ready for agents. And that was the one thing we discussed a lot at the beginning. Like I live in the Bay Area where there's Waymo cars on every corner with self-driving cars. Like we're in the you drive down the 101, it's all AI and agents and everything else. So we're kind of at the forefront of innovation. But there were some folks who probably were scared of the messaging at the beginning. You're saying that I should hire an agent and not hire a human. What does this mean for, for jobs? What does this mean for salespeople's careers? And that made me uncomfortable because I'm like, we're not trying to like ruffle feathers. We're just trying to give marketers a better way to generate pipeline. So that was one thing when we first did our billboards. There were a few people who were like, what's this all about? Is this where the future is going? Sorry, Liam. So we had
That's
some
okay.
people at the beginning who were kind of like, what does this mean? What does this mean for me? Is this where the future is going? And we had a lot of internal dialogue about our positioning. And one thing, like Craig, our CEO, he used to be the CMO of Salesforce, and they were always bullish. And he's like, if if you're not innovate like you're innovating when you're ruffling a few feathers, you're innovating when folks like have some things to say about it. So I would say that was one thing that was a little scary at the beginning, but we just realized we're like, this is where the future's going, and some folks aren't going to be on board, but like most folks will see that agents are going to fundamentally transform how business is done, and it's going to be for the better for all of them. And we really had to talk through our narrative of, yeah, SDRs might go away someday, but that's okay. They can just begin as like junior level AEs. Or did SDRs really want to be SDRs anyways? Like there's now all of
Mhm.
this, like there are these other ways they will enter the company. And we talked about roles that used to exist that never exist, that don't exist anymore, like lamplighters or data entry specialists. And that's scary at the beginning, but then you realize like it's all for the better for work and
Mhm.
how we operate. So I would say that was just one thing that gave us a little pause when we first put our billboards up. We were like, oh no, are people what's the reaction to this going to be? And a year later, we don't really hear that much. People are like, yeah, agents are here. Let's plug them into the right places in the business. I would say pricing and packaging, we kind of, when we first launched, we very much, she was an add on. And if I had to do it all over again, Piper would have been part of our core pricing and packaging. So we were like, oh, yeah,
Mhm.
buy our product and then you can hire this agent. And it didn't push people the right way fast enough. So when we
Mhm.
redid our pricing and packaging, we're now like, okay, if you buy qualified, you hire Piper. And as you move up plans, her capacity expands. I wish we would have done that earlier. We were a little scared to mess with our ASP or mess with how people bought. And
Mhm.
if I had to do it over again, I would have overhauled our pricing and packaging a little bit more aggressively because we kind of kicked the
Mhm.
can, and then we probably should have been more aggressive about it.
Thing is, though, that goes into being cautious that you're taking you're trying to predict the future and you're gambling with it. So it's
Yeah.
like not, yeah, like that's like definitely hindsight's a beautiful thing, because at the time
Totally.
that decision makes perfect sense, because you're like,
Yeah.
I don't know how this is going to be received. We don't want to, you don't want to break the core at the same time.
Yeah.
I suppose, out of interest on that, was there a plan B? So let's say you launch it and your prediction of the future didn't really pan out. Was there a
Uh-huh.
plan B for then what happens then?
Yeah, I think our plan B was like we revert to the comfortable. We were like, okay, this agent's either going to really spark people's interest and it's going to take off, or maybe it's going to be an 8-week fad and then we kind of go back to selling our core product, which is why we kind of inched into the website and pricing and packaging.
Hmm.
So that was like plan B, was just go back to our normal course of
Hmm.
action. Um, and it's been really, really cool to see how much it's exploded, because we didn't know that would happen. And you never, when you're doing a product launch,
Hmm.
sometimes it's like the unexpected ones that really resonate, and the ones you're really excited about, your customers are like, I don't care. So I feel like launches, you never, sometimes we're so close to them and we feel so protective of them. Um,
Hmm.
but so that was kind of the plan B. And I think one part that made it so successful, which I kind of glossed over, was when we launched it on 416, we did this big launch event and we spent weeks being like, something big is coming. What does pipeline generation look like in the age of AI? You probably got our emails about it. Like, tune in to see the future. Like, and our CEO gave this big keynote about how everything's transforming and like work is becoming autonomous and agents are here and pipe gen needs to change too. So that launch was part of what made it so successful, because we built it up for weeks. We were
Hmm.
dropping commercials and videos to tease it out. We had this big launch event. The website traffic spiked, and then and I'm making it sound all smoother and easier than it was, because like a lot of work went into that. We had to
Yeah.
navigate a lot of things, but that event was part of what made it feel big and new and exciting.
What made it brings it to life, makes it feel real. I find
Yeah.
doing that. And what I suppose there would have been, like, I mean, you got had complete founder CEO buy-in, which is
Hmm.
obviously everything you need. But
Totally.
what internal and external constraints did you have when trying to make this pivot? I
Yeah.
imagine there were things that you kind of probably had to make do with, but like in a perfect world, you could have had more resource, or like
Yeah.
yeah, or more time.
Yeah. Yeah. I would say, yeah, I feel like I'm really lucky in that our co founders, like our CEO is a former CMO. Craig and Sean and Gopal and Bang, there are 4 co founders, and Tawny, so 5. They all are, we've all worked together I've worked with them for over 15 years. So I think everybody feels comfortable with each other and challenges each other to move forward. And Craig was really pushing us to innovate. So that's what's most important. I think we always need more time before a launch. I think we pulled together
Mhm.
this launch in maybe really the meat of it in 6 to 8 weeks, and it was
Wow.
chaotic. And we were having creative discussions, and we were making sure the event was good to go, and locking in the keynote messaging, and then making sure our product is ready for prime time. When folks came to our site, we had to have
Hmm.
Piper there ready to talk with them. They had to be able to see it and feel it and touch it. So I think time is always hard. Seller pushback is hard. If sellers are like, what are you guys telling me to do? We're totally pivoting. We have this new product. What? So that's always hard. But like I said, a few salespeople really embraced it and they helped like bring their friends along. Um, so yeah. And then creatively, we had a lot of debates about like, what does this look like and what's our positioning around it. So it was a lot of like whiteboarding discussions and debates, but I think we were really happy with where we landed.
And was it so the I suppose the time pressure that was there, was
Mhm.
that, I suppose, motivated by obviously wanting to be first in market with this,
Yep.
or like a really early adopter?
Yeah, absolutely. We were like, we have this product that we've been, testing internally and we feel bullish about it. We cannot wait. If we wait till the fall, we knew there would be a bunch of other companies that would say they have the same thing. We had the luxury also of we'd been around for 6 years. We like have this platform that we've built on. We weren't just a new start, and we had a bunch of customers who were willing to like try it out. So we had this leg up in that we had a lot of time in market, but we knew if we waited, there would be a million other companies who would come out with an AI SDR agent. So we had to be first. We had to be loud. That's why we did billboards and we went big with all of these big messages. And we had like first to market is the competitive advantage. And we knew we had
Hmm.
to do that. So that's really what drove us. And it's always a good reminder because it's easy to be like, oh, let's push that launch a month or we're not ready. And it's like somebody else is going to beat you to it if you don't. And
Hmm.
it kind of lights a fire a little bit, especially in the age of AI when there's these like, there are new customers or companies cropping up every single day that are getting funded, they're AI native.
Hmm.
Like, so it kind of keeps you on your toes a little bit. But I think it's exciting because over the last, before ChatGPT, things were getting a little same old, a little stale. So it's kind of lit this fire, I think, for all of us as marketers of like the art of the possible.
Hmm. Yeah, I feel like we've been around now for like what it must have felt like when the internet really became a big
Oh,
thing. It's like I'm here for
totally.
something momentous. Yeah,
Totally. It's like
yeah.
the biggest revolution. We talk about like the internet, we talk about cloud and now AI and like this whole agentic movement. It's the most disruptive thing that's happened.
Hmm.
Like for me in my career, it's the most disruptive thing, hands down, that's ever happened.
Hmm. And in like the same way, no one could predict where the internet was going to go. No one was predicting like social media or anything like that. I just feel
Hmm.
like I have no idea where AI is going to go, but I hope it's more cool than scary.
Yeah, I think it will be.
um, so, what were some of the like goals that were set out at the point of the pivot? So, I suppose what did you have? Obviously, and I like success and how it's going to be measured is going to be that the product sells and you generate pipeline from it.
Yeah.
But were there other success metrics about it? How was everyone going to define success? And it sounds like to me like you kind of were more successful than you maybe had originally anticipated
Hmm.
because of like you pivoted further to making the going like further with the splash and like
Hmm.
billboards and huge campaigns. So
Hmm.
what were those original success metrics that you were looking for?
Yeah, from a marketing perspective, like we hold ourselves accountable for metrics, obviously, like any marketer, every step of the way. So even for the launch, we had goals for registration. How we wanted a couple thousand people registered for this launch event. We had goals for pull through of how many attendees. We had targets for website traffic day of. And when we launched it, we were launching that it's like available for early access, and then it was going GA 2 months later. So we also had targets of how many folks we wanted to sign up for early access. And we were like, oh, we'll see if we get a couple hundred. And that, like, I think that's when we realized that we were onto something because hundreds of customers voiced interest in getting their hands on this technology. Um, and then we had like really early on, I think this is also something right now that we're seeing any company could do a good demo. Any company could say they're going to do something and paint a vision. But where the rubber meets the road is does your product work? Can I put it in production? Are you going to give me results? So those things up front were more like vanity metrics. Yes, selling it was important. But for us, a lot of our targets were around successful implementations, successful go lives. Right now, we're even seeing a lot of companies kind of move towards this vision of like they have the AI SDR agent handle all inbound, all MQLs, like they don't have humans handle it. So that's our new North Star of like how do we make teams have an agent who's fully autonomous for all inbound pipeline. Um, but so really the customers in production seeing success, willing to write us a 5-star review, willing to go on record and say they have big pipe gen numbers. That's what success looks like to us. Because you see
Hmm.
all these companies now who say they have something, but then their customers churn and they're not happy and they're not seeing results. So that was paramount to us. Like we needed that to fulfill our promise that we'd made. And the launch would not have been successful if we haven't had today we have 500 companies who've hired Piper and growing. Like
Wow.
that wouldn't have been success. Like I wouldn't be saying this was successful if it was just a shiny launch. It's successful because we have real customers in production.
Hmm. And your customers ultimately have to back your pivot, otherwise you haven't pivoted. You've just launched
Totally.
something that
Totally.
someone's bought but they don't like. Yeah.
Yeah. And we have a lot of customers who've like, it's really cool to see they're kind of help building their career on this pivot. Like we have customers who have titles like, AI go to market strategist or AI marketer. and Piper's become a core part of their tech stack. And they are now like really painting the vision for what a modern marketer looks like. And Qualified's been part of that career progression. So it's been cool to help like have customers have helped take us to the future. And we're kind of like partnering to disrupt how pipe gen was historically done. But yeah, without customers, you're nothing.
That's amazing. That's really cool. That's I love that as a success metric as well. It's just
Mm-hmm.
like, yeah, basically customer satisfaction first, first
Mm-hmm.
and foremost, basically.
Mm-hmm.
Um, if you were to face this dilemma again, somewhere else, how do you feel like you would act differently? And is there anything you would do differently?
Yeah, I think I mean, again, hindsight's 2020. I feel like I'm a little more safe and risk averse. Our CEO was really pushing me on this launch. How do we go big with our narrative? I was questioning, do we personify this agent? Will people react negatively to that? And he always really pushes me to like think bigger, think bolder. He comes from that school of Salesforce where they're the best marketers ever, and he had to really push the limits. So I think I'd be a little bit more bold in my creative thinking and not be so scared to change. And I'm thankful that he kind of pushed us to he's like, if you're going to go all in. So he really pushed us there. And it just makes you think about any launch. You have to have that hook. You have to have that message that might make some folks uncomfortable, but some folks are really going to glom onto it. I think it's pushed me to embrace the bigger, bolder, less safe marketing tactics.
Yeah, I love that. It takes so much guts though to just go really big. And
Mhm.
like you said, hindsight's like a wonderful thing, and then you're like, could have gone bigger straight away. But
Totally.
sometimes the cautiousness, will pays off, and you're so happy you did it that way. And
Mhm.
ultimately, some of like the holding back and like decide and then doing further launches once you've got some of that insight actually might have made that next launch a bit better because like that
Mhm.
next iteration of your launching better because you've actually got some of those insights as well. And
Mhm.
I imagine there might have been some original assumptions that even though it went well, the original assumption wasn't correct. uh,
Mhm.
like like even the level of adoption, maybe the assumption was it wasn't going to be as great, and it was, and
Mhm.
that enables you to go further and maybe lean in more to the AI messaging if you're like kind of worried at the beginning that
Mhm.
people will be like, "What is this?" Then actually they reacted positively. So yeah, I think I don't know. It's a difficult one. I agree with your desire to go bigger and bolder, but I also completely sympathize with your cautious nature.
Totally. I mean, marketing's it's an art and a science. You have to like go with your gut sometimes, but you have to also look at the data. So it's just about finding that balance.
Yeah. Well, thank you so much for coming up on this episode. I think this is all that we've got time for today, but I really enjoyed running through that, and it's been really cool to see Piper go out in the wild as customers as well. And I have admired the launch from a customer's perspective. Been taking some notes ourselves and things that we could do the same. So it was great to hear the whole backstory actually, and thinking about that pivot because if I'm ever faced with the same situation now, I'm gonna take all the confidence from your story.
Yeah. Well, you know where to find me if you have questions. Thank you for having me, Liam. This is really fun.
Thanks, Mara. Bye bye.
Bye.